Hi friends, today we will see class 10 chapter 6 life processes part 2. Now let us study how the plant obtains carbon dioxide. In class 9 we had talked about stomata, figure 6.3, which are the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Massive amounts of gaseous exchange takes place in the leaves through these pores for the purpose of photosynthesis. But it is important to note here that exchange of gases occur across the surface of stems, roots and leaves as well. Since large amounts of water can also be lost through these stomata, the plant closes these pores when it does not need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. The opening and the closing of the pore is a function of guard cells. The guard cells swell when water flows into them, causing the stomatal pore to open. Similarly, the pore closes if the guard cells shrink. Here in figure 6.3a, open and B, closed stomatal pore. In A, this one is the chloroplast. This area is a stomatal pore. This is guard cells. Activity 6.2. Take two healthy potted plants which are nearly the same size. Keep them in a dark room for 3 days. Now place each plant on separate glass plates. Place a watch glass containing potassium hydroxide by the side of one of the plants. The potassium hydroxide is used to absorb carbon dioxide. Cover both plants with separate bell jars as shown in figure 6.4. Use Vaseline to seal the bottom of the jars to the glass plates so that the setup is airtight. Keep the plants in sunlight for about 2 hours. Pluck a leaf from each plant and check for the presence of starch as in the above activity. Do both the leaves show the presence of same amount of starch? What can you conclude from this activity? Figure 6.4, experimental setup, A with potassium hydroxide, B without potassium hydroxide. This is a bell jar, watch glass containing potassium hydroxide in A figure. Based on the two activities performed above, can we design an experiment to demonstrate that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis? So far, we have talked about how autotrophs meet their energy requirements, but they also need other raw materials for building their body. Water used in photosynthesis is taken from the soil by the roots in the terrestrial plants. Other materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium are taken up from the soil. Nitrogen is an essential element used in the synthesis of proteins and other components. This is taken up in the form of inorganic nitrates or nitrites, or it is taken up as the organic components which have been prepared by bacteria from the atmospheric nitrogen. 6.22 Heterotrophic nutrition. Each organism is adapted to its environment. The form of nutrition differs depending on the type and the availability of food materials as well as how it is obtained by the organism. For example, whether the food source is stationary in brackets such as grass or mobile such as deer would allow for differences in how the food is accessed and what is the nutritive apparatus used by a cow and a lion. There is a range of strategy by which the food is taken in and used by the organism. Some organisms break down the food material outside the body and then absorb it. Examples are fungi like bread, mold, yeast and mushrooms. Others take in whole material and break it down inside their bodies. What can be taken in and broken down depends on the body design and the functioning. Some other organisms derive nutrition from plants or animals without killing them. This parasitic nutritive strategy is used by a wide range of organisms like Cuscuta, amabel, pricks, lice, leeches and tapeworms. 6.23 How do organisms obtain their nutrition? Since the food and the way it is obtained differ, the digestive system is different in various organisms. In single-celled organisms, the food may be taken in by the entire surface. But as the complexity of the organism increases, different parts become specialized to perform different functions. For example, amoeba takes in food using temporary finger-like extension of the cell surface which fuse over the food particles, forming a food vacuole. Example figure 6.5. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler ones which then diffuse into the cytoplasm. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. In Paramecium, which is also unicellular organism, the cell has a definite shape and food is taken in at a specific spot. Food is removed to this spot by the movement of cilia which cover the entire surface of the cell. Figure 6.5 Nutrition in amoeba. A. Nucleus, food particle. In B. Pseudopodia. In C. Food vacuole, food particle. D. 6.24 Nutrition in human beings. The alimentary canal is basically a long tube extending from the mouth to the anus. In figure 6.6, we can see that the tube has different parts. Various regions are specialized to perform the different functions. What happens to the food once it enters our body? We shall discuss this process here. Activity 6.1. Take 1 ml of starch solution 1% in your 2 test tubes A and B. Add 1 ml saliva to the test tube A and leave both the test tube undisturbed for 20 to 30 minutes. Now add a few drops of dilute iodine solution to the test tubes. In which the test tube do you observe a color change? What does this indicate about the presence or absence of the starch in the 2 test tubes? What does this tell us about the action of saliva on starch? We eat various types of food which has to pass through the same digestive tract. Naturally, the food has to be processed to generate particles which are small and the same texture. This is achieved by crushing the food with our teeth. Since the lining of the canal is soft, the food is also wetted to make its passage smooth. When we eat something, we like our mouth waters. This is actually not only water, but a fluid called saliva secreted by the salivary glands. Another aspect of the food We ingest is its complex nature. If it is to be absorbed from the alimentary canal, it has to be broken into smaller molecules. This is done with the help of biological catalyst called enzymes. The saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down the starch, which is the complex molecule, to give sugar. The food is mixed thoroughly with the saliva and moved around the mouth while chewing by the muscular tongue. It is necessary to move the food in a regulated manner along the digestive tube so that it can be processed properly in each part. The lining of the canal has muscles that contract rhythmically in order to push the food forward. These peristaltic movements occur all along the gut. From the mouth, the food is taken to the stomach through the food pipe or esophagus. The stomach is a large organ which expands when the food enters it. The muscular walls of the stomach help in mixing the food thoroughly with the more digestive juice. These digestion functions are taken care of by the gastric glands present in the wall of the stomach. These release hydrochloric acid, a protein digesting enzymes called pepsin, and mucus. The hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of the enzyme pepsin. What other function do you think is served by the acid? The mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of the acid under the normal conditions. We have often heard the adults complaining about acidity. Can this be related to what has been discussed above? The exit of food from the stomach is regulated by the sphincter muscles, which release it in a small amounts into the small intestine. From the stomach, the food now enters the small intestine. This is the longest part of the alimentary canal, which is fitted into a compact space because of the extensive coiling. The length of the small intestines differs in various animals depending on the food they eat. The herbivores eating grass need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. The meat is easier to digest, hence the carnivores like tigers have a shorter, smaller intestine. The small intestine is the site of the complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins and fat. It receives the secretion of the liver and the pancreas for this purpose. The food coming from the stomach is acidic and has to made alkaline for the pancreatic enzyme to act. The bile juice from the liver accomplishes this in addition to acting on fats. The fats are present in the intestines in the form of large globules, which makes it difficult for enzymes to act on them. The bile salt breaks them down into smaller globules, increasing the efficiency of the enzyme action. This is similar to emulsifying action of the soaps on dirt that we have learnt about in chapter 4. The pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice, which contains enzyme like trypsin for digesting proteins and lipids for breaking down the emulsified fats. The wall of the small intestine contains glands which secrete intestinal juice. The enzymes present in it finally convert the proteins to amino acids, complex carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. The pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice, which contains enzymes like trypsin for digesting proteins, lipids for breaking down the emulsified fats. The walls of the small intestine contain the glands which secretes the intestinal juice. The enzyme present in it finally converts the protein into amino acid, complex carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acid and glycerol. The digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for absorption. The villi of which is supplied with the blood vessels, which take the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body, where it is utilized for obtaining energy, building up the new tissues, and repair of the old tissues. The unabsorbed food is sent into a large intestine, where more villi absorbs water from this material. The rest of the material is removed from the body via the anus. The exit of this waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter muscles. Dental caries. The dental caries or tooth decay causes the gradual softening of the enamel and dentine. It begins when bacteria acting on sugars produce the acids that soften or demineralizes the enamel. Masses of bacterial cells together with the food particle stick to the teeth to form the dental plaque. Saliva cannot reach the tooth surface to neutralize the acid as the plaque covers the teeth. Brushing the teeth after eating removes the plaque before the bacteria produce acids. If untreated, microorganisms may invade the pulp, causing the inflammations and infection. If untreated, microorganisms may invade the pulp, causing the inflammations and infection. Here in figure 6.6, the human alimentary canal. Tongue, mouth, the buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, diaphragm, gallbladder, store pile, bile duct, liver, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, colon, appendix, anus. Thank you. Sharing is caring. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more knowledge.